All right, so as you can see, this is where we have left off. So there, I got that again. It should be things that house the venom glands. Okay. So what were some different types of effects that you had observed that some of this venom actually does? Okay, yes, because I had just a one-track mind. Yes, it makes it harder to breathe. I was thinking spiders for some reason. And yes, you're talking about the ants, which would be correct as well. And it thins the blood, and with that, it'll clot the blood, it thins it, and I want to see here. What was that young lady? Her name was Bobby Joe, and I would think that she would have been, what, maybe 8 years older? No, maybe 10 years older? 7 years older than you? Okay. So you would really have to have been paying attention to understand why, and it's unfortunate that she didn't make it. Why did she not make it? Well, that's true. But what's true about the blood volume in someone that age? That's not a lot, and also what is throughout the entire human body, what is continually having to, well, not just grow, but develop. I mean, even in your case, you are not fully developed, correct? Would you agree with that? Where might be a place in the human body, in you people, where you are not fully developed yet that could be a convenient excuse and why we get upset at you? The brain is not fully developed yet in your case, okay? So do you feel you people make good decisions? Okay. And yeah, I suppose you could say maybe that depends. All right. So as we move forward then, just one of the things, I try to keep these at not a long astronomical length, but so as we continue, all right, so if we can gather these venoms, like what the video was illustrating, why do you think we can't harvest more medications from these venoms? That's where the antitoxins come from. Well, that's true, but what's the problem with trying to copy venom, do you think? You probably know the answer, you just don't know you know the answer. Well, yeah, that's true. But what do you think about complexity? Any type of venom, whether it's a hemotoxin, a myotoxin, a neurotoxin, any one of those venoms is just way, way too complex, I think, for, you could say, for a computer to try to copy. And you might think, well, with computer technology, we've come so far. Well, yes, with computer technology, we're looking at what? Maybe at the most 60 years of computer technology. Okay. So I'm going by that of maybe the very first computers were around in the 1960s. Okay. Very first. Okay. And I think you would agree this venom has been around for millions of years, so obviously it has quite a head start. So with that, we'll go ahead and continue with talking about these spiders. Okay, because remember, all spiders are venomous, but not all, as you can remember, are not dangerous. What's scared? Oh, well, sometimes I believe whatever type of animal you feel you're deathly afraid of, maybe a bad experience has left you into that you had a bad experience with a snake, with a spider, with a scorpion, any one of those, to where it leads you into having, I wouldn't say negative effects, but just bad memories. So then once they're imprinted, your brain goes back to that very basic memory that was formed, and I hate all spiders, I hate all snakes. And of course they have their place in the natural world, but not everyone thinks the same way. How boring would that be if we all thought the same way? It'd be nice if we had all the same work ethic, but it doesn't necessarily mean we all think the same, but maybe one leads into the other. But so when we look at this, okay, once the prey is captured, the chelicerator of the fangs injects the venom into its victim, probably an insect more than anything else. So the complexity of this venom is doing two things, and it's telling you that on the point above that. Okay, so that venom probably does what? It's going to start to do this. It's going to, yeah, it's telling you it's liquefying the tissue, but that's probably pretty hard for the spider to do unless its victim is not moving. So what that venom does, okay, not only immobilizes its victim, but then, as you can see, starts to digest the fluid. So it's not that all venoms are only going to react as far as immobilizing or breaking down the tissue from the inside because of a hemotoxin. It's also starting to digest that. Now, through the way the man upstairs has designed these animals, why does it have to liquefy this tissue? Yeah, it doesn't have any teeth. The closest thing that I actually have to teeth is a mandible, which actually moves side to side, but that's only to maybe slightly break it into smaller parts because they really don't have a mouth. So they have to have a specific mouth part, kind of like with that of a straw, to stick into its prey items and soak up the liquid then. Okay. And we move forward to this. Now, you might be saying, I thought we just said they don't have teeth. Well, only few select prey items do. But still, in order to do that, these enzymes still have to break that down into you could almost call it like a chemical slurry, if you wanted to look at that. Kind of like if you have ice cream in a bowl that's somewhat solid, but once you start stirring that with a spoon, what does your ice cream start to do? It starts to liquefy. That's right. I'm sorry, what's that? No, thank you.
Can you get your hands on a camel spider?
I don't know. I've never been asked that before.
Would you guys take a spider?
We do lubers. Luber is a big grasshopper. Okay. Could you get your hands on one of them? I guess I really don't know. This year is, well, the only thing that changes, this says 2015. The only thing that would be different, for the most part, is probably just the prices. So, I do not I'm looking at the arthropod sections. I see crickets. Huh. Praying mantis. I see flies. I don't see anything in here about spiders. No, I'm not seeing anything in the index either. Okay. Where does that put us? Okay, one more, and then, okay. Without looking down, okay, respiration, how's it done? Yeah, well, sort of, okay. Book lungs are trachea, okay? But what happens, you still have to have a way of getting that into these tracheal tubes, because remember, there is, when we think trachea, okay, whether you are petting the underneath of your dog, you can actually feel the trachea. You could do that in a cat. You can even feel your own trachea. And what that means is that's the scientific name. The common name would be a windpipe. But when you actually feel your own trachea, if you wanted to, is it pretty soft? In parts it is, but yet it is quite, did you say clumpy or lumpy? Why is it bumpy, do you think? Well, not only that, but it's got cartilage in it. Why do you think there has to be cartilage in your trachea? So it will not collapse. Although sometimes something very similar to that happens, but it's not in the trachea, it's a little higher up in what we would picture being that of the pharynx, or the back of the throat. Because in the back of the throat, you have what's called an epiglottis. And that works in conjunction with your uvula. Does anyone know what your uvula is? Right. So when you swallow liquids or solids, that uvula flips up. Okay? Then you have your epiglottis, which is below that of your pharynx, that when that flips down, it covers your trachea, so you don't get any materials into your lungs. Now, is it possible for that to happen? Yes. If you have lots of fluid in your mouth, or for some reason you're producing a lot of saliva, and we got our victim right there. So they say, oh, it went down the wrong pipe. But what that means is if you breathe in at the same time, that epiglottis cannot cover your trachea because you have a kind of like a vacuum effect in there. So then that gets down to your lungs, you start coughing. But these animals don't have that. They don't have what we consider lungs like we got. Okay? What it does is these pockets of tissue absorb the air and then send them into these tracheal tubes to then be absorbed into the body. Okay? Now, spiracles are just the openings. That's what you would see. Like when you look at a fly wing, those are all tracheal tubes inside of there. But it's just the external part that opens to the atmosphere that's the actual spiracle. Okay? Don't get that mixed up with a lot of these tracheal tubes on the inside because it's two different structures. Okay, we're at about the limit where we wanted to be. So anyone going out there to Huron, safe travels, and best of luck, ladies. And with that, we'll stop there for today. We'll catch up to you next time.